Hi there, Scott Hamilton, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review for your ears. Going to be talking about the brand new film, The Matrix Resurrections. Really hard to talk about this movie without spoilers, and also at least one of my dogs is having dinner nearby, so you may hear that in the background. This is in my home studio, and I'm still working on deadening the sound, and I can already tell it's not quite dead enough. But anyway, just got out of Matrix Resurrections. I'm going to have to talk some spoilers, so let's get the first part out. No spoilers. The short version of the review. If you love The Matrix and didn't love the second and third movies, the fourth one probably won't change your mind a whole lot. If you love the first movie and really enjoyed the second and third movie and just wanted to see more of that, then you will probably enjoy the movie. Short review is, if you're a huge Matrix fan, you have to see this to see where it goes. If you're not a huge Matrix fan, I would skip it. So the longer version of the review will get into spoilers. I'm sorry. The movie just came out, and I don't usually talk spoilers, but to talk about why I said you don't have to see this movie, I would have to get into spoilers. So it was a bit of a surprise over a year ago when we heard that they were making another Matrix movie. I mean, it's a good time. Keanu Reeves is on a big comeback, and there's a really meta couple of moments in this new movie. Chad Stahelski was Keanu Reeves' stunt double on the original Matrix movie, and he's become a big director in Hollywood. He directs the John Wick movies. And so he is in the Matrix playing a character named Chad that has to fight. It's pretty meta, but it's also pretty cool. And that's one of the things that's a spoiler to talk about, is how meta this movie is. And a lot of reviews have said how meta this movie is, that it goes too far. In the beginning, I was ready to lean in that direction and go, yeah, I mean, they're kind of recreating some opening scenes, and I had heard that they use footage from the original movies in this, that they kind of see it on walls and in the background and talk about it. And actually sitting in the movie theater and watching it, that's one of the better things they did, was come up with a whole reason for this to still exist and incorporate the original movies into it, and how basically Thomas Anderson is a computer programmer who made a game called The Matrix, and it was a trilogy of games, and those are the movies we saw. But then it's a thing within a thing within a thing, as the Wachowskis like to do. And we only have Lana on this movie. Her sister chose not to, so I don't know what that says. It's a 2.5-hour film that I didn't hate the time there. I didn't look at my watch, other than just I make notes, kind of mental notes based on time in the movie. So I could say something like, the first hour of the movie just spends time in this alternate reality of Thomas Anderson's a computer programmer. They're trying to recreate that feeling we had when we saw the first Matrix movie of what is going on. I mean, I was driving home from work. My girlfriend at the time was with me. We were coming back from something. It was right before 7 o'clock. There was a movie theater on the way home. We had nothing to do. And we said, we've seen the previews. It was a Wednesday night. We've seen the previews that didn't show anything. The first previews to The Matrix were just, what is The Matrix? A couple of action scenes, and that was it. Really short preview. And we said, why not? We don't have anything else better to do, so we stopped and decided to make popcorn dinner that night. We watched The Matrix and walked out of the movie and just went, wow, that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And that's, at least in the beginning, what they're trying to recreate here, that feeling of the first hour of the original Matrix, you didn't know what was going on until they eventually pull him out. And kind of the same thing here. You don't know what's going on. There are familiar characters and familiar things, but it's different, and it's all done differently. It's all redone. It's not like they're trying to say this is what happened and showing you an alternate thing. No, this is different people doing similar things or even the same things, but there's a good reason for it all, and I thought that was one of the better parts of the movie. There is a logic to this movie and why it exists. Okay, I didn't have a problem with that. I had a problem with some of the other things. The biggest problem I have with the movie is it could just be trimmed a little bit. If we're going to have more, and it seems like they want to make more, I mean, it does have an ending, but you kind of had to go, okay. But I'd be fine if they made more. There maybe is more to this story and the current actors who are playing some of the roles and that kind of thing. Some of the technology stuff was really cool. The fight scenes were, as usual, really good. I wouldn't say they're as good as The Matrix, the original trilogy of movies. Some of it was too edited. Some of it was too up close. We're used to movies like John Wick and Deadpool where they pull the camera back and show you the action, show you these people actually doing it. And there was a lot of up-close stuff. I mean, granted, the Neo and Morpheus fight scene is what it should be. And there are a few others. But then some other things. One of the reviewers I like said that once Neo figures out how to stop bullets, that's pretty much what he does for the rest of the movie. And to a certain extent, that's true, but that's, what they gave him to do, I guess. He's very good in the action scenes he does. I mean, Keanu's getting up there, as is Carrie-Anne Moss, who also carries her action scenes very well. We have some younger actors in it playing roles. We have some new people, new characters. There's a couple surprises I won't get into. I said this would be spoiler, but only spoiler enough to talk about it. There's still some interesting surprises I didn't see coming, even after all the trailers and all the... I didn't read or watch any truly spoiler-filled reviews, but I did watch some non-spoiler reviews, so I kind of knew what I was going to get movie-wise. The biggest thing I didn't like in the movie is cute machine characters that are now on our side. This is a Return to the Jedi kind of Ewok kind of thing. I did not understand why. We have a $190 million budget and a 2.5-hour runtime. And we're telling an epic romance, and we're reinventing the wheel of the Matrix, and we're going back in, and the special effects of the movie are really great. I have no complaints about that. Like I said, the fight choreography is great. It's got all the trappings of what you want out of a Matrix movie, and I don't think anybody in the theater was bored tonight. But a few people snickered, at least through the first half hour or so, because it is meta on top of meta on top of meta. You almost want him to break the fourth wall and go, "Hi, I'm Keanu Reeves, and I'm playing a computer programmer who's designing the Matrix in this new Matrix movie." And I mean, they name drop Warner Brothers, and more in the movie. It's movie within a movie within a movie kind of thing. But all in all, walking out of the movie, I was like, you know what? I'm a fan of the original trilogy. This is one more. Am I going to rush right out and pre-order the Steelbook like I did Dune? No. This will be kind of a wait and see where else they go. As it stands now, I'm glad I saw it in the theater. I don't have to own it. I don't have to watch it again. There wasn't any fight scene that I went, wow, I want to rewatch that. Even Keanu Reeves' directorial debut, Man of Tai Chi, had fight scenes that I had to buy the Blu-ray just to rewatch. The fight scenes are really good. The fight scenes are good in this, but not jaw-dropping. Where's the knife fight from the last John Wick movie? That was riveting. These are good. It's well filmed, well choreographed, well executed, but it was just okay. So people talk about some of the trans themes. I guess they're in there if you're looking for them. I guess you can find all kinds of themes in a Wachowski movie. They learned a lot making The Cloud Atlas, which I thought was a great film. Jupiter Ascending, which I thought was a well put together film, just didn't all come together for me. And I think Speed Racer is actually kind of brilliant in its way. As we found out recently with Cowboy Bebop, it's not easy to adapt anime to live action, and they did it really well. I've gone back and watched Speed Racer several times, and it's one of my favorite Wachowski movies. And I love the original Matrix. And the trilogy, the second and third movies, to me, I always feel exhausted after watching them. I feel like I'm pummeled with the action, violence, CG fests that those movies become. And I didn't quite feel that. I think to combat that feeling, the big scene that closes the film features a lot of real people. It's almost like a zombie movie at the end. There's just bodies after bodies after bodies. And there was a lot of CG, but it's still just people. And it's not, just hundreds of robots being shot at by thousands of pellets of flaming ammunition that look incredible. I mean, the last two Matrix movies are, they won Academy Awards for special effects for a reason. This movie doesn't go that route, which I fully expected. But if you cut out like the cutesy robots, which don't really add anything to the story, I think one's in there. It looks like the little bean tree thing from the upcoming Dumbledore movie and the Fantastic Beasts movies. It looks like Sprout. They do a high five. There's one that kind of looks like a manta ray, and it's kind of cute, and they have eyes, and I don't know, they kind of explain it away, and they're just there, and then they don't really do anything with them. I think that could be cut out. There were a few other things. But this movie is filled with some great ideas and some great performances. I mean, this is obviously a director who has something to say. There are some very interesting ideas. Some are fleshed out, some are not. The whole idea of robots that are on our side, machines that have decided, basically Neo sacrifice at the end of the third movie, change things for more than just humans. Okay, I can go along with that. But if you're going to introduce this concept of machines that are actually good or want to work with us or whatever, do something more with it. They didn't save the day like in any other kind of kid movie. By the way, this is rated R, and it is quite R. There's a lot of violence, a bit of cussing. It probably could have become a PG-13 movie, though. None of that really had to be. It's funny in a couple places where it's supposed to be. It's funny in a couple places where it's not supposed to be. Overall, I'd like to say I was disappointed, but it's well made. I walked out of the theater and just went, okay, well, it's another Matrix movie. I can't say it's a bad movie. Over 60% of Google users like it, over 60% of Rotten Tomatoes, over 60% of Metacritic, which is usually the rough one. 60% of people really like this movie, or at least liked this movie. And I can't say I dislike the movie. I am less disappointed with this Matrix than I was with 2 and 3. How about that? I was disappointed with those because I just thought it was just action to be action. There were times in those movies where I lost the story because the action was so great, and I don't think you should ever lose the story. The action should be in service of the story. A lot of fight scenes, especially the John Wick movies, are kind of telling part of the story through that scene. They might be throwing knives at each other or having Halle Berry's dogs attack people, but it's also telling some part of the story. Matrix 2 and 3 kind of just become CG fest. This, I don't know. This has some really great ideas. It's a very interesting movie. You may really, really like it. Some people really do. It's made decent money. It's getting crushed by Spider-Man, and deservedly so. Spider-Man is an excellent movie. It's one of the best movies I saw this year. Take the MCU out of it, take Spider-Man out of it. It's a great movie. It's just exciting. It's fun. It's got a lot of action. It's got great acting, good characters, but that'll be a separate podcast. If you have HBO Max, watch it on HBO. If it becomes one of your favorite movies, then go to the theater and see it, because it did look and sound pretty good. Didn't blow me away, but it was better than I expected based on the things I read, but it's still, I wanted more. Maybe we'll get more. It's nice to see Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss do what they do. It was nice to see another Matrix movie and revisit that world. It was fun to revisit, and maybe a few weeks down the road and it's coming out on Blu-ray, I go, yeah, maybe I will pick it up in 4K. Just to revisit it. I left out some of the surprises. I hope you enjoy them when they happen. This is where I would say there'll be a later podcast where we talk about. I don't usually go back and discuss movies unless there's really a good reason. So my next podcast will be a Spider-Man, which I saw before this, but I had just seen Matrix and had all this fresh in my head, so I just ran home and did this one. The Matrix Resurrections, cash grab, probably. Really good ideas in it, though. There's a good, even almost great movie in there. It's a little long. Could have been shortened up. There's a few things it just didn't need, and it would have still been a fine Matrix film. I don't know. Your mileage may vary. Give it a shot. See what you think. That's what's the fun about art. Let it wash over you and see what comes out. I don't know. They gave it a good shot. They really spent a lot of money on this. It looks great. Sounds great. It just, not a bad movie. Just, you really want more. You really wanted them to knock it out of the park on this one. Like Spider-Man did, but that's a whole other story. I'm Scott Hamilton. I'm ROCKFILE. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to check out this podcast, for listening, sharing, liking, and subscribing. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much.